I couldn't wait to break down this team with you, Jensen, because I like a lot of the parts that they have. I have questions about a lot of other parts that they might have. 81 wins a year ago, missed out on the postseason, and yet their win total this year is up to 83.5. You want a ticket to make the postseason, you get plus money at plus $1.15. Not exactly long shots, plus 340 to win the West, and to win the pennant, 13-1, long shot, 30-1 to win the World Series. Where are you on Texas? And I wonder if it all starts with the rotation for you.
Yeah, one of the phrases I hate in dating, Dave, is it's a slow burn. Really? How many burns do you know are slow? They go really fast, okay? So my reasoning for bringing that up, this feels like a great team to sit back and kind of let the first month and change just go and watch. That they're a wait and see team for me, but I'm with you on the optimism. And we talk a lot about culture in Major League Baseball, and a lot was made of a potential rift between Marcus Semien and Corey Seager last year within the clubhouse. Well, Marcus Semien now departed in one of the crazy 1-for-1 trades that we've seen in probably the last decade or so. So Marcus Semien to the Mets in exchange for Brandon Nimmo, who is not only going to be the Rangers leadoff hitter, but I think one of the great culture guys to come into a clubhouse.
Absolutely.
That has some optimism, especially for the top of this lineup. So Nimmo, now your leadoff man and your right fielder. Wyatt Langford, who's going to hit in the 2 spot, is primed for a big season. In our MLB betting guide for VSiN, if you are not a VSiN Pro subscriber, or if you want to just get that guide by itself, $19.99 there at VSiN.com. My bold take for the Rangers this year was Wyatt Langford hits for at least 25 homers and steals at least 25 bases. And if he does that, then it really sets the table for this offense with he and Nimmo in front of Corey Seager. Now, the question about where the rest of this Ranger offense is will likely dictate what their postseason prognosis might look like. If you have a name that begins with J, congratulations, you're going to be in the Ranger lineup. Jake Berger, Josh Smith, Josh Young, Jock Peterson, those guys will be tasked. And it's a very left-handed heavy lineup, Dave. Only 4 and potentially 3 right-handed bats there in the everyday 9. But potential power is there, and a lot of it will be predicated on what can the middle. That 4, 5, 6 is a real intriguing spot, which is why I would be wait and see on the Rangers. I need to be convinced that this offense can hang with the Seattle Mariners, can find their way through, the other teams, not only within the division, but the other contenders in the American League. The pitching is top-notch. There may not be a better 1-2 punch, with all due respect to where Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez are right now in Detroit. But a healthy Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, give me those guys in a short series, and I'll take my absolute chances with how good they can be and dominant in stretches. The key acquisition this offseason, getting Mackenzie Gore from the Washington Nationals. It should be able to lengthen a rotation that has the upstarts in Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. Shout out my Vandy boys right there. If that rotation lives up to potential, then, Dave, this is a Texas Ranger team that could be primed for a postseason push.
Well, that's my question, because I'm looking at, as much as you know, I love Jacob deGrom. He is 37. Eovaldi is 36. And then you get the big acquisition of Gore to be your third starter. And in front of those two guys, or right behind them, rather, that is a great 1, 2, 3, you would think. And then you mentioned Leiter and Kumar Rocker there at 4 and 5. Can we expect those guys to hold up? Eovaldi and, of course, deGrom. If they can hold up and get you the prerequisite starts that you want to get those guys at 1 and 2, then I think they're a playoff team at plus $1.15. I guess my concern is, as a scarred Met fan for so many years with deGrom, is you're always waiting, sadly, for that other shoe to drop. If you can't get 25 starts out of these guys here throughout the year, do we worry that they don't have enough depth for the older guys at 37 and 36 to be able to do it for the bulk of 162? Do we have those injury concerns because we're just not getting younger at the top of that rotation?
Certainly do. And your concern is well warranted. And that's why I would set at the top, this is a wait and see team for me as far as a make the playoffs price at plus money right now. I think you can wait until maybe the first week of May. And if they do kind of get off to a 500 start, but you can see potentially the results there with the offense maybe taking off a little bit later, then that would be the time to strike. For what it's worth on the deGrom front, buddy, I took him at 13-1 to win the American League Cy Young in our VSiN MLB Futures draft. And so, you kind of look ahead, and there was obviously a huge run on a lot of the awards in that realm when we did the draft. I still felt it was some pretty good value right there for a guy that when he is healthy and when he's right, yes, Tarek Skubal is your 2-time defending AL Cy Young winner, but there's no reason why Jacob deGrom can't be up there. I mean, at points, Dave, you remember, and I remember our boys Mitch and Paulie on Follow the Money. This was almost an auto first 5 under bet when he was pitching with the Mets, and he was getting not only the Cy Young, but he was in the MVP talk too because of how utterly dominant he's been. He is the Lamborghini, but he's been in the shop, and I understand the trepidation there with people. Eovaldi, the same thing. When they're right and they're a well-oiled machine, there may not be a better duo in the American League.
Mackenzie Gore, now you get him from that big deal from the Nationals, and he's 27 and feels like he's really hitting his stride. How good, and I know he'll get overshadowed in this rotation here with Eovaldi and deGrom, but if we looked at him, because that was the ace of the Nats, right, and then you put him in the 3-hole here in Texas, how good can a guy like Gore be as far as, I don't know if it's Cy Young that we could talk about here, but can he float under the radar because of the guys ahead of him in the rotation?
Yeah, and that's the part where he's not going to have the pressure of being the guy. He just needs to be a dude that passes the baton. And if he doesn't try and do too much, and I'm looking at the walks for him this year, if he can limit the free passes, there's plenty. He is going to be, if Eovaldi and he are healthy, it'll be those two guys for the most strikeouts as far as a member of the rotation for the Rangers. I just wonder, let me put deGrom in there. Of the three, it's probably deGrom and Gore. If everyone's healthy and right and they make their allotted starts. But for Mackenzie Gore, it's just about passing the baton. And there is probably no better mentor or two better mentors than deGrom and Eovaldi to be like, hey, young pup, he's just a little after his 27th birthday here. So it's still a very young guy. And I think it will really benefit him to not have the pressure of being an ace. He gets to learn how to be one, though, and kind of polish everything else about his game. The real big question mark on the staff, Dave, is the back end of the bullpen. It sounds like Robert Garcia and Chris Martin, for those that are in fantasy drafts, it's going to be closer by committee from what it sounds like to start with Skip Schumacher. So we'll see if one guy kind of jumps to the forefront there. But otherwise, it's a wait-and-see team from a make-the-playoffs price. But should the offense turn the corner earlier than anticipated, they can certainly hang with Seattle if the pitching is right as well.
Do we put them on paper ahead of H-Town this year? If we expect the Astros to take a slight step back, then we're looking at maybe the second-best team right now in the AL West?
I think it's fair. And again, the Athletics are going to have arguably the best lineup up against Seattle. They just don't have the depth of pitching, and that's what's going to hold them back.
Right. Yeah, I've got some tickets there on the A's to make some hay here in this division. I don't know if they can win this division, but maybe make the postseason at a longer price. But Texas would be that other team, with no disrespect there to the Astros, that really should be able to push Seattle, you would think, the most. That's why their win total sitting there at 83.5. And I'm with Jensen. Going to wait on this one. No preseason picks in yet.